Here's what I'm going to make. It's a coffee iced Gateau. It looks great, but it's not that difficult.
Hello everyone, I'm Judy Jackson and today I'm doing a tutorial called Coffee Gateau. Now a gâteau is a French word, but I think most people know what it means. It just means cake, but it's the sort of thing you will find in a patisserie or in a very good supermarket perhaps. But I'm going to teach you how to make one of these at home. And the reason I'm doing it is because if you're interested in going through various steps to get through something really not difficult, but with a very impressive ending, then you should stick with it. So I'm going to show you, first of all, how to make the lightest sponge cake. And this is a sponge cake, not like a Victoria sponge, which has butter in it, but just has three things: eggs, sugar, and self-raising flour. And that makes it rise to a wonderful light mixture. Now, this is sandwiched together with custard and cream and topped with a wonderful coffee icing. The finishing touch is a little bit of a chocolate drizzle. So you can see this is going to be done in a few steps. You can actually make the whole cake a couple of days before and then finish it off with the icing on the day. Or you can go ahead and do the whole thing. But whatever you do, I really hope you give it a try, or if you think anybody else you know would like it, please do send it on. Anybody who has questions can get in touch with me. You can get me on my website, thearmchairkitchen.com, and I'd be very happy to talk to you by email if you would like. Anyway, so here we go with Coffee Gateau. I hope you like it.
For the cake, you need 3 eggs, 3 ounces, 75 grams of sugar, 2.5 ounces, 62 grams of self-raising flour. Here are the eggs, sugar and flour. Now I've actually separated them, and since it's a tutorial I just wanted to show you how you do that, but you don't need to for this one. You put the whole eggs in all together. So just pop them into the mixer and then you're ready to start whisking. It's noisy. After a few minutes it'll begin to get thick. You've got to be patient at this time, and now you're ready to start adding the sugar slowly. Pour in the sugar a few spoonfuls at a time, not too much. It'll take at least 5 minutes, whisking on high until it gets to look like this, where it'll hold onto the whisk and not just run off. Here you can see how thick it is. And now you're going to start sifting in the flour. You have to strain it to make sure there are no lumps, and do it gradually and slowly. I've actually speeded this up, but you need to just make sure there are no trails of flour anywhere. But don't beat it. You mustn't beat out the air that you've just so patiently waited to capture inside the mixture. I'm pouring the sponge mixture into some ready prepared tins. What I've done is I've taken some sunflower oil and I've put it on paper towel and I've rubbed it very, very well into each tin. So each tin is beautifully greased so they won't stick very much. So you pour the mixture into each one and then they're ready to go into a preheated hot oven. Cook them at 190 centigrade, 380 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes. While the cake is baking, have ready some custard and some whipped cream. Both of these are explained in my video Trifle. These flan tins have a removable base and I'm going to show you how to take them out. Be careful because it's hot, but what you need to do is to run a knife around the outside and then press them gently from the bottom. Now I've already done these, I've taken them off the base, but what you need to do is you need a palette knife and you need to run it all around the edge and underneath until you've released it from the tin. There you now have your 3 layers ready to carry on. To stop the layers sticking together, I've sandwiched them in between some baking paper. Now I'm ready to start with the custard. I've spread it over the first and bottom layer. And then you're ready to go on with the next one. I've spread the custard over this bottom layer. Now I'm taking out the second one and I'm putting it into the middle, over it exactly. And finally I'm spreading on the whipped cream. It's quite generous, there's quite a lot of it, and you just start spreading it until it's smooth all over the top. I've used about 300 mils, 10.5 fluid ounces of both cream and custard. This is right for the size of tin, which is 8 inches or 20 centimetres. We're going to start by making the coffee icing. Here's the cake and I'm just lifting off the paper. Now we're ready to begin. We're going to start by sifting some icing sugar through a strainer. It makes a lovely cloud. Have ready a bag of icing sugar weighing 500 grams or a pound, a couple of egg whites if you have them, and some strong coffee. You're going to start by mixing a little bit of the egg white into the icing sugar. Now I haven't said the quantity. You can see I've got a bowl which is like a third full, and I'm going to see how much that makes and then add more. I'm adding the liquid now. The egg white was because egg white seems to make the icing very glossy and nice, but in case you don't have it, you can just use water. But now comes the coffee, a spoonful at a time. Don't fling in the whole lot because it's likely to make the icing too liquid. If that happens, and anyway, I'm going to add more sugar because I don't have enough, as I said before. So I'm just following the same procedure again, adding the coffee, spooning it in until the mixture is just firm enough to pour. Don't want it hard, nor do you want it so loose that it's going to be very, very liquidy. Look at what it looks like, and when it's pouring like this, it's ready. This amount will make enough to cover the top of the cake, and some of it will drizzle down around the sides. But if you prefer to have your cake completely covered, then make a lot more and it will pour down the sides and then you can smooth it over. That's entirely up to you. Just make sure that it's nice and smooth on the top. The last thing to do is to melt some chocolate. We're going to do it the usual way, which is in a bowl over simmering water, and you just put that on the heat until it melts. Or, for me, the much easier way is to do it with the microwave. And for this, you need just to put the chocolate into a bowl, no water at all, and you cook it for about 2 minutes till it softens. Then it's ready to start spooning gently in little drizzles across the cake. When you've done this, you can use up the rest by swirling it round into little curls. Do it on a piece of foil because then you'll be able to get them off much easier. What you do is you just spoon them out and then put the tray into the freezer for about 10 minutes. From then you'll be able to push them off and use them as decorations for the side of the cake. When you take them out of the freezer, they're not difficult. You press up from the bottom and then there they are ready to slide off. If you break any, don't worry, you can just melt them again. If they don't happen to stick, add a tiny bit of chocolate before you stick them onto the side of the cake. I've been using a 200-gram bar of plain dark chocolate. And I had a little over, so I did some drizzles in the other direction. Now, whatever you do, I'm sure your guests are going to enjoy this. Mine certainly did.